Hey, what's up guys? John here. We're seeing massive pain in the luxury real estate market in Los Angeles. I'm seeing so many price reductions. I'm seeing luxury developers getting pulled down into bankruptcy, seeing some sales that were projected around $500 million. So, the luxury Niami development in Bel Air sold to CEO, the founder of Fashion Nova. And he got just an incredible deal on this property. But there's another luxury developer that was expecting to sell his property for $86 million in Bel Air. They took it to auction, and the minimum bid was $50 million. No one would pay $50 million. Someone came up at $46 million, and the deal's not going to happen. But we're seeing across all these great communities, and I'm going to tell you why this is so important for everybody. What we're seeing is massive price reductions across the board. And why this is important is if the rich and the wealthy are feeling pinched, what are they going to do? They're going to stop spending as much money. And their money, goes a lot further than everyone else. They do a lot of the hiring. They do a lot of the expansions. They are the ones that are putting most of that money to work, allowing, a lot of opportunity for everyone else. And what I'm seeing right now, like for example, if you were to buy a $15 million property in Los Angeles, $15 million, 20% down, which is $3 million bucks. 8 months ago, the mortgage payment would have been $66,000 a month. That's an incredible amount of money. $66,732 a month. Now, that same payment, $85,000 because interest rates have been creeping up. So an extra 20 grand a month, an extra $20,000 per month, just in increased mortgage rates. Now we have 4 more rate hikes coming, and they're talking about a 50 basis point hike coming in next month in June, and they're talking about multiple base points, some as much as 75 basis points. So if interest rates go to, let's say, an 8% 30-year fixed, that same payment would go to $105,000 per month. So from $66,000 from what it was in December to $105,000. And so what that would mean is that someone that wanted to purchase a property for $15 million now, or in December, if interest rate hikes hit 8%, they would get a $7 million property. So what is that going to do? It's going to pull back dramatically on property tax revenue, which is going to fund police departments, school districts, police services, government jobs, everything. That's how tax revenue runs. Tax revenue is comprised by spending and property taxes for the most part. And so if there's less spending, because the middle class and the 99%, the majority, have less disposable income, that's going to impact the city. And when there's less luxury home sales, that's also going to impact the city. But what I'm wondering is what's happening in Los Angeles. Is this going to come to New York, to Connecticut, to South Florida, to Aspen, to all these luxury and desirable locations where people come to spend 10 or 15 or 20 or $30 million or more for a property? I think we're going to ultimately see the wealthy realizing, hey, my dollar is better off to sit in my pocket, even though we're in inflation, because interest rates are going so high. They already have increased, 100% from where they were in December. Interest rates are going to continue most likely increasing. What's ultimately going to happen is that all of these leveraged real estate developers, all these leveraged property owners, and all of the leverage that's in this market is going to, start spilling out. And me sitting on all this cash is going to allow more opportunity to run out there and pounce on all these deals. So what I think is ultimately going to happen here is what the luxury real estate market is going to communicate to the wealthy and to the rich is it's better to hold your cash because the majority won't have this luxury. And so rather than going out there trying to buy that luxury home now, I hold on to the money and I'm going to pounce and make wise investments. And that's what I think is ultimately going to happen. I think they're getting like that bat signal saying, hey, you know what, this is the moment. This is what we've been waiting for. The wealthy, they look for opportunities in which they can grow and scale their wealth. This is going to be that opportunity where we're going to start to see more and more and more of these price reductions. Generally what happens is they list the property, they'll buy the property for, let's say, $5 or $6 million bucks. They'll buy the land. Then maybe they'll spend $300 bucks, $400 bucks a foot building out the property. Then at the end, maybe they're all in for 15 or 18 million bucks and they try to sell it for 30, right? So if that's what their model is, they'll try to list it for 30 or 35 million. Then if they can't get it after 90 days or 180 days, they'll do a pretty substantial price reduction. And then at that point in time, if they can't get it again, they'll either fire their realtor, hire another realtor, think it's the realtor's fault. Then they'll do another price reduction, and then another price reduction, and then it gets to a point to where they reach out to a hard money lender or another lender because they need some liquidity because they are running short on capital because they are, they're making these large monthly commitments to pay down their debt, pay down the mortgage, pay down their expenses on the properties. And so ultimately it gets to a point where they basically end up going belly up. And I think we're on stage 2 right now, which is massive price reductions and developers are slowly starting to fall. But what I find fascinating too is all the realtors in the real estate market that, we have a record high amount of realtors because everyone's getting rich in the real estate space, just listing properties. Everyone thinks they're a genius when they list a property and it sells for multiple offers. Everyone on their Facebook's like, oh, I sold this house so fast. It's the market. The market was allowing people to pay way more than what the property was generally worth, and so realtors are doing really well with that. But now we're going to a point where the developer is going to get really squeezed and crushed, and we're going to start to see a lot of realtors drop out of the market, and the sex appeal of real estate is going to really start to take a massive change. What I am unfortunately seeing though is that all the money, all that wealth that's going to be pushed on the sidelines is going to start really plowing into middle-class communities. People are going to be looking for a yield on their investment. People are going to be looking for yields on their money. And it's not just going to be the private equity firms, not just going to be institutional investors and hedge funds that are running out there buying up the properties. It's going to be the rich people all over the country, all over the world, that are priced out of the luxury lifestyle that they were accustomed to scaling up to and buying. They're going to just keep pulling money and look to take some risk off the table. And the best way to take risk off the table is by buying assets that are going to perform very well in a recession, which is probably going to be single-family rentals, traditional single-family rentals between $200,000 and $400,000, where they can buy the properties for essentially land value, plus a little bit for the structure, and they can use technology in a way to manage it more effectively and for a lower cost. And then they're going to bring it as much yield as possible. And then when the luxury high-end market begins to fall, they're going to start pouncing more and more into that space, buying luxury properties from all the developers and real estate investors that were leveraged, right? Now, I think that we've been addicted to these low interest rates for so long that people don't know what it's like to have a 6% mortgage. And 6% is nothing. People are accustomed to 15, 18, 20% mortgages. Am I saying we're going there? No. But 8% I think is very likely. 9% is very possible. And 10% it's in the cards. And so if we start to see those numbers, you do the math on what a mortgage would be on a $10 million property or $15 million property, right? It's crazy going to a 10% mortgage from going from a 3% mortgage. You're going to pay 150% more on your monthly payments just with interest rates increasing. You think about all the people that are on adjustables. So many people right now are running out there buying properties with adjustable rate mortgages because they can get a better rate. But what's going to happen is they're hoping in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, rates are going to be lower and they're going to be able to refi into that. But when they can't do that, what ultimately happens is they end up giving the property back to the bank at that, that refi period. Or if they can't make those monthly payments, which most aren't, they're not going to be able to make a payment going from, X to Y if the spread is huge, right? That's what I think we're stepping into. We're stepping into this very unique shift in the luxury real estate market. People think, when they watch $1 Million Listing and Selling Sunset and all these, TV shows, these luxury mansions, that these people are just reckless with money. These people, I was a real estate agent in Beverly Hills for a decade. I've worked with many of these people. These people are very, very smart and calculating, and they play things correctly in most cases. That's why they have what they have. They're cautious. They're not just out there spending money. These people know what's happening. They're paying attention, and they're going to get ready, I think, to make a big opportunity. And this market that we are going to see unfold is going to open themselves up to many more people, many more investors than the traditional real estate investors we've been accustomed to. Wealthy buyers from all over the world, all over the country, are going to be shifting fields as everything gets more expensive with supply chains, labor problems. They're going to be shifting fields, looking for ways in which they can make money and pull yield. And where's that going to be? It's going to be in middle class housing. That's my bet. That's my bet. What do you think? Where do you see this whole thing going? Where do you see the housing market going? Is it a coincidence that Nile and Niami went for that $500 million sale, then to $250 million, then they sold it for a record-breaking price to the CEO of Fashion Nova, and then now this new bankruptcy that's hitting, that they were listing for $86 million and they couldn't even hit the minimum bid. All this happened within 120 days, and it's spiraling in this direction. We have more rate hikes coming. Drop your comments below on what you think about this whole situation and how this entire thing plays out. And subscribe down here, hit the like button. Also on Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, everything's in the banner. Catch you guys later.